skateboarding style then got turned into this pool skating style, and these pools started to give the skateboarders are like, what can we do in this environment, in this pool sort of environment, now that there's multiple ones? If you want an example of this, if you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Like, is this really the case? Like, how could this be? Watch the movie Gleaming the Cube with Christian Slater, and Tony Hawk is in there, but it basically gives you the it really illustrates that whole moment. Although that was in the 80s, and so it's a little bit anachronistic. It's a little out of time, anachronistic, chronic is time, chronos. It's anachronistic to the mid to late 70s, but it is a good depiction. It's probably one of the best depictions of that kind of that style of skateboarding. And basically what happens is that this is the environment where a skater named Alan Gelfand first figured out a way to carve up the pool wall and then lift the board out a bit so that he was airborne for a bit, and that became known as the ollie, Allen Ollie. And the ollie was at that time a vertical ollie. It was an ollie that was part of pool skating, which goes vertical. And then in a few years later, a skateboarder named Rodney Mullen, who started skateboarding, I think, in Gainesville, not too far from here, he figured out a way. He was already one of the best freestyle flatland skateboarders in the world, whether he knew it or not. But he figured out a way to do this ollie kind of thing on the flatland. And by taking the vertical pool ollie and putting it on the flat ground, what he did was he created the basis for street skating, which is an Olympic event at this point, and also it's like that's basically your A to B straight, straight from one place to another place, and I gotta jump over a step or I gotta go over a crack or, in the sidewalk or something. So he allowed for that, and on top of that, then he goes on to develop the kickflip, which is an extension of the flatland ollie, and then he comes up with basically a whole a whole bunch of other tricks that are still being used today. It's basically the foundation of probably over 50%, maybe like 52, maybe 54, maybe even 60% of skateboarding today comes out of Rodney Mullen. Now, Tony Hawk is basically the most well-known skateboarder. His name's easy to remember. He looks the part, surfer kind of guy, tall, lanky. He was the guy that came out, and when the skaters said, "Hey, we like this pool skating, but we want to do it in places that it's too limiting to the pool. So we're going to make these mini ramps. We're going to make these sort of U-shaped ramps." And that's really where that's vert skateboarding. It's not pool because it's not bowled around like these pools. And that's really where Tony Hawk excelled, and he's one of the, he's basically the most important vert skater of all time. And him landing the 900 in 1999 under the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, that was basically the moment that you could look at as being when skateboarding went from being something that was well known and that people did and everything, and that like kids did, and it was like, and it had decades, and it's a very easy thing for the public to conceptualize a wooden plank with some wheels on it and gliding across a surface. Like, okay, I understand that, like the public can understand that. But in 1999 with ESPN, and he lands the 900, the first time like televised, first time caught on camera in competition as well, with the encouragement of his fellow competitors, as well as the MC, as well as the crowd, everyone just like ready for him to do this and wanting for him to do this, and being with him every step of the way, because it took him like, I don't know, 12 attempts or something. It took him a lot of attempts, more attempts than he was like supposedly allotted. But everyone was there like, let's do this, and they like basically like willed this to happen. And it was at that moment that's basically, or it's probably like the best moment where you can look and you can say like, well, skateboarding transitioned from this sort of more like I have a little bit of difficulty with that, but it was more of like an underground activity, and then it became and then at that point it became something like, it's undeniable, it's part of our culture, and basically a skate park like this is the, I'm guessing this was built in let's just say it was built in 2010 or 2015 or something. So it's from 1999 to one is 2020. So it's like Tony Hawk lands a 900, and then like 15 to 20 years later, boom, you have a beautiful, this is probably a multi-million-dollar installation. Like, this is a multi-million-dollar, which means like more than 1 million, like 2 million or more, possibly, something around that. Maybe it's $1 million that was invested here, but you have this park that comes later. So I'm just, this whole thing that I just like went on about is just to point out that, like, to respect the skateboarders, because it was the skateboarders, the drought in '77, California skateboarding coming up from surfing communities that originated in Hawaii. If you go back that way, and how Hawaii became a state in 1959, and the 60s is really when the Beach Boys get going, surf culture gets going, and soon after that, skateboarding is going as well. And but just to respect all of that when approaching a skate park, because that is the history. That's some of the history of what this is all about. So like when you see these parks, and you see these things, it's not like that someone, like just like woke up some morning and was like, I think we're gonna make this these obstacles, and then it also, the other thing is, by understanding that history, it also gives you a sense as the reason why it says only skateboards is first. Skateboards, it's a skate park, only skateboards, inline skates, and bicycles with no metal pedals, no motorized vehicles, only skateboards first, and then inline skates, and then bicycles are allowed here. And so, like, to understand the background to that. So that's when skateboarders are here, the skateboarders know this history, and they're going to, that's what they have, they know it. And so when they see inline skates show up, they're like, hey, we're like, you're on our turf, because this is a skate park. But the skateboarders are kind of like, well, we'll let you inline here because, we kind of, we have a lot in common. And the same thing with the bicycles, even though with the bicycles, they're saying like, the bicycles tend to get in the way more. And then I didn't see anything on this on this notice on the rules for the park. I didn't see anything about scooters. So scooters may not even be allowed here. So if you show up with your Razor here, someone could just look to this and say, hey, there ain't no Razor scooters here. But if you go to Grant Park in Chicago, there's definitely people showing up with Razor scooters that they may have rented. So yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit of the park. So when you show up to do, like some skill toys nearby, just like now you have a little bit more of a context and you understand a little bit more about the dynamics of what a skate park is about and why it's important, the reasons why it's important to respect the space and to not get in the way of skateboarders at any point. Another little detail too is that you could be skating, or you could be, a skate park could have skateboarders skating there who actually were part of the committee that helped build the skate park. So not only do they have the history of the skate park and that they're participating in that by skateboarding, but they could have spent hours and hours and years to even be on the committees to say, hey, we want a skate park. And that happens all the time. Skateboarders, I did that in Iowa. I was part of meetings in Iowa City, the University of Iowa. So that's even another reason why you might get either some pushback, or there might be a little bit of like, hey, you're in our space, or like don't, be aware of this is our skate park and stuff. So and those skaters are still around. If this was built in 2015, that's only like 10-15 years ago. Those skateboarders are potentially still here, still skating this beautiful park that they helped build. So just kind of keep all that in mind. Usually it's not the bikers or the inline skaters who are part of those meetings, but sometimes they are, and that's all for like the local history and all for like the locals to know about. But and yeah, I'm assuming too that you, as a skill toy person, a juggler, etc., you may be local as well, and you may get to meet some skaters. You may become a skateboarder yourself. But if you're showing up and doing some juggling, or some you're doing some yo-yos or acro yoga, the idea is like, we're gonna be nearby, but we're not gonna be in the space at all of the skateboarders, unless we are skateboarders and we have our skateboards. But again, this area right here, this is a unique area, and this is just one of those places where this is a bench that is not really meant to be skateboarded, and we can even see that it hasn't really been attempted much, maybe, to be skateboarded, maybe a little, to be used as an obstacle, maybe a little bit, but no, it's like, what's the reason? And you have those benches over there and the trash cans over there. So this is like an area where if you show up here and you're gonna juggle, or you're gonna do skills, or etc., if you feel like this is a place that you are interested in, it's a maybe. I would be very I would just be ready to move. I'd be ready to move on should some skaters show up and want to skate here. The other thing is that in the condition that it is right now, it's a little sandy. It's a little sticky with some drinks and stuff, and it might not even be the kind of place at this moment that you'd want to be